Welcome back, beautiful souls. Today's episode is one that I just know many of you have been waiting for. I'm diving into something that I believe almost every human being walking this earth has encountered at one point or another. Maybe they encounter it more often than they'd like, and that is the topic of anxiety. But I'm not just talking about the kind of anxiety that makes your heart race or that keeps you up at night. I'm going to go a little bit deeper than that. I'm going to go into the spiritual roots. I'm going to be talking about the nervous system patterns, the somatic and subconscious terrain. And most importantly, I'm going to be talking about tools that bring you back to yourself when anxiety tries to take the wheel. Let's dive in. Becoming a co-creator with the creator is your birthright. Together, we'll journey into your deepest authenticity. Because the more you align with who you truly are, the more effortlessly you call in the life that you desire and deserve. And most importantly, the more you step into your soul's highest purpose. Welcome to the Manifestation Method podcast, your number one source for Kabbalistic manifestation. Here we combine the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, modern psychology, and quantum physics to help you achieve real, tangible manifestation results with my proven Abra method. I'm Ayelet Polonsky, and I'm here to guide you on your journey of manifesting a life that is aligned, expansive, and deeply connected to your highest self through the sacred energetic mechanics of Kabbalistic manifestation. To learn how to use Kabbalistic manifestation to transform your life from the inside out, go to ayeletpolonsky.com or download the Manifestation Method app. Let's open the gates of manifestation together. Now, before we start unpacking all of the nuts and bolts around what anxiety is, where it comes from, and how to navigate our way back to safety inside of ourselves, I just want to begin by reminding you of this. That the majority of what we worry about actually never happens. It never comes true. In fact, according to a study from the University of Cincinnati, 85% of what people worry about never actually occurs. 85%. And of the 15% that did happen, 79% of participants discovered they could actually handle it better than they expected. So if that's true, if the majority of the things that cause so much anxiety actually never manifests, then why does this uncomfortable feeling feel so all-consuming, so real in the moment? The answer is that anxiety is your body's alarm system. It's not random. It's not weakness. It's your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is to protect you, to keep you safe. So your body is scanning for danger, for any sign of pain, loss, or threat. And then it sounds the alarm in an effort to keep you safe. And that alarm bell is anxiety. But here's the thing. Most of the time, that alarm is ringing about a future that has not happened. And it may never happen. Anxiety lives in the realm of what if? Anxiety projects forward. It'll spin stories about worst case scenarios. And not because it's trying to sabotage you or destroy you, but because a younger part of you is trying to prevent something bad from happening again. So it's often an echo of the past cast into the screen of the future. It's carrying something from the past that has not been processed and projecting it onto your future. And now the problem is that when we live in a constant anticipation of threat, we actually disconnect from the safety and sacredness that exists in the present moment. Instead, we start reacting to imagined danger instead of responding to real life, instead of responding to what is. And that's where the real healing begins. It begins by gently retraining the nervous system to recognize when you're actually safe. It begins by training yourself to be able to differentiate between the past, the imagined future, and the here and now. Because this moment, right now, is where your real power lives. And your soul knows how to return there again and again. And so a question that I receive often is, why then do I feel anxious for no reason if there's no potential real threat? And the truth is, and this is an important one, there is always a reason for your anxiety. So if you're feeling anxious, please, please, please don't go thinking you're cray-cray or that you're broken. You're not. You're not. Anxiety doesn't just show up out of nowhere. Your system is not malfunctioning. It's actually just responding to something. And there's always a reason, even if that reason is not fully conscious yet. So sometimes anxiety is your body's way of kind of like flagging an unresolved experience from the past, right? From a moment that felt overwhelming or a moment that overwhelmed your capacity to process the experience at the time. And when something from your past is not fully processed, it doesn't just go away. It gets stored. And this is super important to understand. There's always a reason for your anxiety, and oftentimes it's just unprocessed past that gets stored. Stored in your nervous system, stored in your tissues, in your subconscious. And later on, something seemingly small can actually activate that unhealed memory from the past. And so what's happening is your body responds as if the original danger is happening all over again. So anxiety is the result sometimes of an unintegrated past, an unresolved past, right? And other times, anxiety is the result of subtle stressors in your life that have been accumulating, like micro moments of pressure or over responsibility, right? Overly functioning, overstimulation, right? Or emotional residue that you've been too busy or too kind or too high functioning to slow down and actually feel. But your body keeps the score. Your body notices. Your soul notices. Your body acknowledges what's not being processed in the moment. Hi, Ayelet here. I just wanted to pop in and say I am so excited to officially introduce the Manifestation Method portal, membership, and app. This is your home for all things Kabbalistic manifestation. You'll get access to my monthly live workshops, soul deep hypno activations and attunements, all of our manifestation courses, and our global community of manifestors. And the best part? It's just $26 a month. That's less than a latte a week. Come manifest alongside me and start creating the life you desire and deserve. Head over to ayeletpolonsky.com to join us. And your body is your alarm signal whispering to you, something here needs attention. Right? I always say when we're experiencing tension needs attention. So instead of judging yourself, try to get curious, because your anxiety is not random It's relational. It's a signal. And the more gently you're able to meet it rather than judge it, trying to push it away, trying to fight it at all costs, right? The more you gently meet it, the more it'll reveal to you, right? So, and most people, here's the thing, most people, they just want their anxiety to go away and to go away fast. And that is totally understandable, right? Because anxiety can feel unbearable. It hijacks your thoughts, your breath, your sense of peace. So the natural impulse is to suppress it, fight it, or what most people do, I'd say, is distract yourself until it disappears. But here's the deeper truth. The fastest way to soothe anxiety is actually the slowest way. And I don't mean that in terms of time. I don't mean slow in the amount of time it needs to take, but I mean slow as in terms of presence. Because the more you try to resist anxiety, the more it fights back. The more you say to yourself, I shouldn't be feeling this. Why am I feeling this? The louder it becomes. And why is that? Because anxiety at its core is a messenger. And when we ignore a messenger, it knocks even louder. So the real path to calming anxiety is not resistance, but relationship. Right? I kind of like to look at my anxious parts as toddlers throwing a tantrum. Right? I know that if I look at my toddler when she's throwing a tantrum and I tell her, you shouldn't be feeling this way. Go away. I can't handle you. When I tell her that, what does she do? Does she actually go away? Does she regulate? Does she calm down? No, of course not. That's never the anecdote, right? What happens is she gets louder. She tantrums louder. She cries more, right? But when I'm able to be in relationship with her, and that being a metaphor for my anxious parts, right? When I'm able to take a sacred pause, to feel my feet on the ground, to come back into my body and place one hand on my heart and one hand on my belly and speak directly to the part of me that's scared or overwhelmed or feels like she can't handle this, I tell this part directly, I see you, I hear you, you're trying to protect me, and right now I am safe. Right? That's what I tell my anxious part. Similarly, if my child was throwing a tantrum, right, I would tell her, I see you, I hear you, I can handle you, and I got you. The moment I say that, her whole system softens. She melts into me. And sometimes she doesn't melt into me right away. Sometimes she needs a few more moments to let the energy move through her, but it's a much quicker route. Slowing down is a quicker route to self-regulation. And again, by slowing down, I mean presence. And this might actually seem small, what I'm saying, but it's profound. Because you're not just saying words to yourself. You're actually creating a bridge between your higher awareness and your protective parts. You're signaling to your nervous system that the threat has passed, that you're no longer alone, and that something wiser is now in charge. So anxiety wants that acknowledgement. Your anxiety does not want to be exiled. Your anxiety wants to know that somebody is home and someone is listening, right? Think about even in just our adult day-to-day lives, what do we all deeply long for? It's to be seen, heard, understood, right? So the moment you can offer that to yourself, the moment you can soften towards your anxiety, even if it's just a micro movement, just a little bit, the spiral starts to unwind. It starts to loosen. The inner storm begins to settle, right? Because you're no longer fighting or resisting the wave, but rather you're learning how to ride it with grace. Yeah, and there's also other in-the-moment powerful tools that you can incorporate to support your body in regulating, alongside the slowing down and the presence. hydration, right? Because dehydration can mimic stress symptoms in the body. Or movement, right? Especially rhythmic movement, like walking, shaking, dancing, stretching, right? All of these types of movements actually signal safety to the brain. Right? Another thing you could do in the moment as you're accessing presence is put some cold water on your wrists or on your face. What this does is it actually activates the vagus nerve, and it helps your body switch from fight or flight to rest and digest. Right? But beneath all of these tools is a deeper invitation to rebuild trust with the present moment. Again, because anxiety lives in the future, it lives in the what ifs and I can't handle this. Whereas healing begins when we return to the now, to this breath, to this moment, to the quiet truth that right now you are okay. And the more often you practice this, even in the micro moments, the more your body actually learns that it's safe to be here. It's safe to be in my body, right? It's safe to be in this world. The more you build a felt sense of inner safety, the more you're able to give yourself the medicine that you truly need. And another question I get asked sometimes is anxiety a mental illness? Some people also ask, is anxiety a spiritual awakening? Which one is it? What is it actually? And so here's where things get a little bit juicy and also a little bit complex. Because the truth is, yes, anxiety can absolutely be clinical, and it can be debilitating, and it can stem from trauma or imbalances in the nervous system or deeply rooted psychological patterns. And if you are struggling with daily, overwhelming anxiety that interferes with your ability to function or feel safe, right, please know that seeking support from a licensed practitioner or someone who's really experienced or a trauma-informed guide, a healthcare professional, right, seeking guidance is not a sign of weakness. It is actually a courageous act of self-love and self-care. And so what I'm offering here is not necessarily a diagnosis, and it's certainly not a substitute for professional mental health care, right? This podcast episode is not a therapy session. What I offer is a spiritual lens, one that can sit alongside therapy, but not necessarily in place of it, right? Because anxiety is not only psychological, and that is important to also note. Right? Anxiety can also be very much spiritual. Sometimes our anxiety is the soul's alarm clock, right? It's your system saying something is out of alignment, or you're living too small for your soul, or there's a new truth trying to emerge, and your current way of being can't contain it. So it's asking you to expand, to elevate, to step into a new version of who you truly are. Not a different version of you, but a remembering of who you truly are. Right? Because anxiety often arises when something within us is actually ready to grow, to expand, but maybe it hasn't yet found a safe path forward. And so anxiety can show up when we've been outsourcing our worth, or ignoring our intuition, or stretching ourselves too thin in order to survive. And so while anxiety can be painful, it can also be sacred. And if you're willing to listen and not just silence it, anxiety becomes a messenger, a holy teacher. It reveals the places where your soul is calling you home, right? It might whisper new boundaries, new rhythms, new truths that are longing to be embodied, right? It might nudge you to reclaim your power and return to alignment with who you truly are, right? So no, this is not direct therapy, and I'm not here to therapize you, but I am here to offer a deeper spiritual lens, one that invites you to partner with your anxiety rather than shame it. Because when you stop seeing anxiety as a flaw and you start seeing it as a compass, it transforms. It becomes a guide, a portal, a holy reminder that your soul is waking up. And then you're asking yourself, right, but still, how do I live with the uncertainty? Right? Anxiety feels like uncertainty. And that's really the question at the very heart of anxiety, right? It's the undercurrent of so many thoughts that swirl through the anxious mind, right? Thoughts like, what's going to happen? Or will I be okay? Or how do I prepare for every possibility that life throws at me? Or how can I control the unknown? But here's the loving truth, and I say this wrapped in a ribbon of so much love. You're never actually knowing the future. And you've never actually known the future. Not really. Even your most certain moments, right? The relationship you thought would last, the job you thought was secure, the plans you made months in advance. Life has always been unfolding in mystery, right? I moved to Israel, met my husband, birthed my babies in Israel with this vision, this dream of raising my kids for the rest of our lives in Israel. And then October 7th happened and the rug got slipped from under us, right? And yet with all of that upheaval, right? So much lives in the unknown. The future is unknown. And still with all of that turmoil that we were met with and in my own family, right? It's like, I tell myself, I've made it here. I've lived through surprises. I've lived through detours. I've lived through unknowns before, and not just lived, I've thrived. Oftentimes the biggest detour is the doorway to the greatest miracle, is the doorway to the greatest upgrade of my life, right? It's these moments that felt unmanageable, yet somehow I've managed, and so the question is not, how do I make the uncertainty go away? The question becomes, how do I make peace with the unknown? Because the truth is, uncertainty isn't the enemy. Uncertainty is the womb of creation, the womb of manifestation, the gateway to miracles. Uncertainty is the sacred blank space where the Creator writes your next chapter for you. And if everything were known and predictable and pre-planned, there would literally be no room for magic. Like literally, no space for growth. No unfolding of who you're here to become. So yes, I do want to validate that the mind wants to know, right? The mind craves a clear map, a 5-year plan, a guarantee, but the soul doesn't want safety through certainty. The soul longs for safety through trust. So here is the shift. What if safety isn't about knowing what's ahead? What if real safety is about trusting your capacity to meet what arises? Trusting that when you get to the bridge of the unknown, the bridge that merges known with unknown, you'll know how to cross it. You'll be equipped. You can trust that even if the path changes, you'll still be guided. You can trust that you're never alone because something higher, something inherently loving is walking just a few steps ahead of you, always. In Hebrew, there's a concept called hashgacha pratit, translates to divine providence. And it means that every detail of your life, every single micro detail, even the ones you don't understand yet, are being orchestrated with care and guidance. Even the pauses, even the upheavals, even the plot twists, the uncertainties, the chaos, right? All of it is just evidence of a deeper intelligence at play. And so the practice here becomes surrendering control, moment by moment, right? Surrender is a practice, not a destination. Remembering that not knowing doesn't mean I'm not safe. Returning to the breath, to the body, to the present, because this moment is always knowable. And when the anxious mind says, but what if? Then you get to lovingly answer back. You get to lovingly answer back, I don't know exactly what will happen, but I know who I am. I know I'm supported. And I know I'll rise to meet it with grace. I remember sitting in ceremony with a beloved mentor of mine. His name is Dubi. This was in Israel, and Dubi fought in one of the wars. And so while now he's a grown man with a wife and kids, when he fought in the war, he lost one of his legs. And so I met him with an amputee. He has an amputated leg. And I asked him a question. I said, Dubi, you went from having all your body parts intact one day to literally the next moment not having a leg. A leg. I said, how did you cope with life after that? And he looked at me with the most loving, Dubi eyes, and he said, with a whole lot of grace. And I'll never forget it. Anytime I experience a struggle, I ask myself, how can I access that same level of grace? So uncertainty here is not a flaw in the design. It is the design. It's the sacred space where possibility lives. And the more you soften into that space, the more you'll begin to feel something miraculous, right? Because the truth is, anxiety might not disappear forever, right? It'll come, it'll go. I have my moments, right? But your relationship to it can radically shift forever. So imagine going from being ruled by your anxious thoughts to being the calm, anchored, graceful observer of them. That's what spiritual practice and nervous system work do. They expand your capacity to hold discomfort without abandoning yourself, right? Freedom comes not when nothing triggers you anymore. We all get triggered. Freedom comes when triggers no longer define you, right? So if you've gotten to this point in the podcast and, you're wondering, because this is a manifestation podcast after all, so you might be thinking to yourself, okay, I hear everything you're saying, I get it, and it all makes sense. Now, let's answer one thing, and that is, can I still manifest while feeling anxious? And the short answer is yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. But let's go deeper, because why not? Because I know how easy it is to fall into the trap of spiritual perfectionism, right? The belief that in order to be a powerful manifester, and I say that in quotes, you have to be calm, regulated, high vibe, gratitude journaling, incense burning, positive affirming all the time. Okay, but here's the truth that will actually set you free. Your manifestations don't require you to be perfectly regulated at all times. What they do require is your faith. They require your willingness to keep showing up, to keep opening your heart, even when your heart is pounding, right? To keep taking aligned action, even when your nervous system is tender. So what actually blocks your manifestations isn't the anxiety itself, but rather the belief that the anxiety somehow disqualifies you from manifesting, right? It's about the shame you attach to your fear. That's the block. It's the inner voice that says, I must be doing something wrong. I'm too much of a mess. Who am I to ask for more when I'm feeling like this? But let me tell you what I've seen over and over and over again in my own personal life and also in the lives of thousands of souls that I've had the honor of supporting. And that is, you can hold fear in one hand and faith in the other. You can be spiraling one day and still quantum leap the next. You can have panic attacks and still magnetize miracles. And why is that? Because the Creator doesn't only respond to your vibe. It responds to your truth. The Creator responds to the truth you're holding. It responds to your courage, to your humility, to your willingness to keep showing up as raw, as real, as human, as vulnerable, with all your parts, right? God responds to the vibration of self-compassion, to the frequency of surrender, to the integrity of choosing your soul path, even when your ego is quaking and shaking. So no, you don't have to be healed to manifest. You don't have to be regulated 100% of the time to be magnetic. You just have to stay connected to what's real. And sometimes the most magnetic thing you can do is tell the truth. The truth might sound like, I'm scared and I'm still willing. Or I feel anxious and I still trust. Or I don't have it all figured out, but I know I'm not alone. Let your prayers be messy. Let your faith be wobbly. Let your nervous system shake and still show up with a self-affirmed yes. I am here for it. Because manifestation is not about spiritual performance. It is about spiritual intimacy. And the divine meets you there exactly as you are, human and all. So that's really what this is about, right? What if things not working out the way you planned is exactly what aligns you with something greater? What if the closed door wasn't a punishment but a redirection? What if the delay was a sacred pause orchestrated by a much wiser godly timeline? Or what if the setback was actually your soul's way of preparing you for a deeper becoming? And that's really where trust becomes the medicine for anxiety. Trust is kind of like a balm for the anxious mind, right? It's a umbilical cord for the spiraling heart or the pounding heart, right? Trust is a sacred invitation to rest into something larger than yourself. It's the invitation to get out of your own way and fall back into a presence that is always present and always available to you. Right? It's not a naive, passive, everything's fine kind of trust or trying to convince yourself everything's fine, but rather it's a fierce, living, active trust. It's a trust that says, even though I don't know how this will unfold, I believe that I'm led. Even though I can't control the outcome, I know that the ultimate result is for my greater good. Right? Even though it's uncomfortable right now, I trust that something beautiful is being woven beneath the surface. Right? This kind of trust isn't blind, it's visionary. It sees beyond the limitations of the moment. Right? It remembers that your life is not random, but rather encoded with purpose. And it honors the part of you that has made it through every dark night so far, and it will continue to rise. Right? In Kabbalah, this kind of trust is called bitachon. It is radical trust in the Creator. And it's not because everything's easy, but it's because we acknowledge that everything is meaningful. And the most miraculous thing is that the moment you drop into trust, your nervous system begins to soften. Your energy shifts. Your body can take an exhale. because it finally receives the message that's been available all along, which says, I'm not alone. I don't have to carry this all by myself. Something higher is holding me. So the next time anxiety rises, instead of bracing against it, place your one hand on your heart and whisper, I don't know how, but I trust. I don't have the map, but I trust the path. I trust the unfolding. I trust the timing. I trust the divine within me and all around me to guide me home. So, my loves, if you're navigating anxiety right now, I want to remind you again, you're not broken and you're not alone, and there is always a way through. There is a version of you on the other side of this, one who feels anchored, safe, and in trust. One who is not ruled by spiraling thoughts, but rather guided by soul clarity. Right? One who knows how to meet life with breath, power, and grace. And if you need support, then my Manifestation Method membership is here for you. Inside, you'll find a whole portal of nervous system regulation, subconscious reprogramming, somatic experiencing processes, and spiritual realignment. And the hypnoactivations alone are some of the most potent tools I know for transforming anxiety at the root. You don't have to do this alone. I'm here with you, alongside of you. We are all just walking each other home. So I close with this reminder. You're not here to be fearless. You're here to walk with faith, even in the face of fear. And that is your true superpower. Thanks so much for listening. I love you so much. Here's to your rising. If you enjoyed this episode, let's keep the conversation going inside the Manifestation Method Portal app, your #1 destination for Kabbalistic manifestation. Inside, you'll unlock the secrets of manifestation through my proven Abra method, rooted in Kabbalah, psychology, and quantum physics, designed to help you manifest real, tangible results from the inside out. Join our global community of manifestors, explore our signature courses, monthly live manifestation workshops with me, Ayelet, and access our transformational hypno-activations and attunements to rewire limiting beliefs and align with your soul's purpose. The app is available now on the Apple App Store and Google Play. To sign up, head over to ayeletpolonsky.com. Becoming a co-creator with the Creator is your birthright. Let's manifest the life you desire and deserve together.